many troops, we're definitely going to start hemorrhaging deserters, but now that we're a vassal, we can make our own parties, right? So we can start adding in armies to our army here, and they'll be free. Now, Spice Vendor usually... Okay, this is going to work. So we want this gal. We need future clan leaders, right? It's not too early to start thinking about companions that are going to be future clan leaders. Now we need to ditch... Let's see here. We don't need another tracker, dude. Sorry. I always skip through the dismissal process because I hate the sad look they give me, even though it's just a digital thing. We're creatures of compassion. But onward, right? We didn't see his face. We could pick up this Spice Vendor gal, put some equipment on her, and look at that. With the mercenaries here, we're almost 50 over. So we're going to be able to make her an army without diminishing ours too badly. Slap some gear on this gal here. We're going to try to blaze through this stuff in this campaign, and we will definitely be doing some side editing. We will be doing basically an expedited campaign. Now we're going to show you the important stuff. I don't know if we'll... You know what? I wasn't even recording when we made this army. We started to make an army. Of course, we're a Battanian. We've got some influence. So we started to gather up forces. I'm very fickle about the forces that I gather for the army, of course, because you're going to be in control of them. You, me, you know what I mean? You are in control of them once you call them to your army. So we're going to be intelligent with our decisions on who we call to the army. Obviously, I'm looking to continue the theme of the Battanians. Ranged units, crossbow, skirmishers, and then preferably some kind of decent infantry that we could square with just a very small smattering of cavalry for the wings. All right, so she's set up. Now we just got to make a new party here. I think we can make two. Yeah, we've got... oh, maybe it's just one. We'll make one, though. That's interesting. It costs money now, I guess, to make parties. I read about that. No worries, though, right? We still got 100,000 gold. Gold definitively. And I imagine I'll make basically a condensed version of what are the differences with 1.3 that are profound, right? Well, I think I read 40 pages of patch notes. Of course, a lot of it is the little bug fixes that nobody's ever experienced, but there's a lot of change, right? And that's one of them right there. It actually costs you money to make a party, so you've got to take that into consideration. But this is a no-brainer here, right? At this stage, we are developing companions. We've got this gal now in her army. Caladog is heading east. He'll probably get captured like a dipshit. But it's very important in a Bannerlord campaign, in my opinion. Everything I'm saying here, it's my opinion, right? Like, some guys, like, they get upset when you're so, well, that's not how I play. You're free to play exactly how you want, brother. You're watching my channel here, and it would be way too cumbersome if I prefaced every single sentence with, it's my opinion, right? So just understand everything I'm saying here is, of course, my opinion. All right, we're going to go to this village. It's my opinion. We're going to recruit some troops here, buy some goods. And I don't know if you caught it. We'll get closer here in a second. Dirt is here, and he's got a sign on him. He's got a sign just like The Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman. It says, I would like to be sacked and mangled because I don't have good AI and I'm not able to break away from keep siege. What he should be doing right now is the same thing that I would do if I saw these forces surrounding him. Now, where the fuck are these guys going? Defending Lannick Castle. It's the other way around. It almost looks like they're circling behind me. They look like little kids getting into line at Disneyland or something like that. That was actually really cool. It looks like they don't want to engage without me. And so they kind of almost got behind our army. Yeah, I like that. You know, they obviously need our help basically to win here. But let me finish that point. Dirt should have abandoned this siege and tried to escape somehow and made no effort. Now he's automatically destroyed. Those are the kind of things that I don't know. Maybe they can't program them into the AI, but they need to, right? That's just not an acceptable. I mean, I guess it's acceptable, but man, is that a dumb AI, right? Again, I use it a lot on the challenge. The Bannerlord AI more often resembles AI. You guys haven't heard of artificial imbecility, right? It often does stuff that even mediocre-minded people would not do, right? Even a dumb 80 IQ guy would be like, oh shit, we're going to get attacked. Let me exhibit some natural instinct here and flee, right? Maybe we should not get annihilated. But alas, it does not do that. So And again, we're going to continue to not try to sugarcoat things here too much. I love Bannerlord content creators. Sometimes we get accused of sugarcoating stuff because we're somehow trying to gather favors with tail worlds. I want this game to improve. They want the feedback. We will point out the great parts of Bannerlord. I do it all the time. And we will point out the areas that need fixing, adjustment. We're on the hardest difficulty here. Maybe on the easiest difficulty, Dirt should just sit here and get destroyed. On the hardest difficulty, he should act intelligent. All right, this side over here is left open. We like that, right? The enemy, the AI, or the allied AI here, rather, is bottling up the Valandians. That horse had a javelin sticking out of its skull. I would run too. You know, that Valandian force is crashing into the Battanians on the top part of the bridge here. We'll simply take the lower part and fire javelins in there until they look like that horse. This is another situation. There's no way that the Valandians should be charging us. Now, maybe they don't have any crossbow, and they just figure no matter how they fight us, they're going to lose. But they're definitely going to lose doing this, right? Just slamming into a choke point here with all our archers and skirmishers just waiting for them, salivating at opportunities to kill butter boys. It's just another thing. It's a little thing, but they should definitely continue to work on the AI. That's the easiest way to say that. Now, these guys are completely exposed. Look at all these Valandians. And distance is important when you have skirmishers. I like 10 yards, right? 10 meters, you European fellas. Some guy was like, I feel recognized, European fellas. You fellas from Denmark, the Netherlands, France, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, England. Yeah, I'm a fan of your continent, even though you've been labeled by literature as the violent continent for fighting wars for 900 years. I love Europe. My wife and I might even move there someday. If you guys will allow us. If you guys don't hate America too badly by then. But this range is important, right? And I'm just holding a shield wall with the skirmishers. This is their big advantage. You can just sit here in a defensive posture. We're being shot at, but it's not killing our troops because they have shields. Every once in a while, a guy will chuck a lethal javelin into the back of a Valandian force, and they get destroyed. It's enormously powerful in basically all situations. There's no situation, basically, in the game where archers and or skirmishers fare poorly. And I think that's actually one of the biggest problems with the balance side of things. Guys say cavalry, you know, things are balanced, cavalry are fine, you just got to know how to use them. I just don't agree, right? And I've gone to Reddit and made my case before, and basically I get clowned. Maybe it's because I had my 1.3 version debacle there, whatever. Guys are just, they have their own opinions, and their opinion is that cavalry is fine in Bannerlord. Well, does this look fine? Now, admittedly, the AI is just suiciding here, but even in the open, if you use your troops right, they have no chance of defeating archers or skirmishers, and that's the biggest problem. Try this yourself, right? You guys out there who are big believers in cavalry, take 600 elite Imperial cataphracts against 500 of the AI using v1.3. I bet you lose, and that's a problem, right? 600 tier 6 units in the open, which is going to be obviously the best case scenario for the Imperial Elite Cataphracts against 500 v1.3. And I think unless you use really good tactics, you lose for sure. They just shoot you full of pieces. Your initial cavalry charge does pretty well. You bottle some of them up, but then they whip out their two-hander and they're ripping up shit. The guys who can shoot are one-shotting your cavalrymen. I just think it's super unbalanced still. But we won't spend this whole episode ranting about that. Like I said, a lot of guys evidently don't agree with me. And of course, that's your opinion. In most countries, you are still free to exhibit your opinion. Oh, shit. Or get stabbed in the shoulder, and the whole battle ends and your narration goes to shit. It doesn't matter, though. At this rate, look at our kill ratio. We're achieving over a 3-to-1 kill ratio. There's nothing left now but the mop-up of this Valandian force. So in a way, it's kind of good. Part of me is thinking maybe I'll just suicide at this stage of a battle. So once that the real battle is over, we can just fast forward all of the chasing down of troops. I do have the RTS mod for version 1.3, but it is very unstable. I crash every third battle with it. So I'm not going to be using it yet for this campaign. We'll see. It's so unstable I may not use it, and I don't mean this against the modders, but it's so consistently crashing episodes that, needless to say, I'm hesitant to film for 40 minutes and have the whole episode go to shit because the game crashes to desktop. All right, continuing to flesh out our army here. I'm picking up a few shock troops. I'm not going to be averse to picking up shock troops, but we are definitively going to focus, again, on 4 main units in this campaign. Crossbow, V champs, and what I mean by crossbow is Imperial Sergeant Crossbow and Sharpshooters, V champs, wildlings, and a very tough infantry line, right? We're going to have 30, maybe when our army is 500 tall, 500 big, I guess, I don't know if they get tall, 500 people wide. We're going to pick up some Legionnaires, Oathsworns, etc. I would actually prefer they were all Sturgeon veteran spearmen, which is probably not going to be a thing, not a possibility. The reason for it is because they can be easily divided into the 1st Division. You can assign that division shield and a spear only, and then your skirmisher divisions, javelins and shields, and then your shock troop divisions, nothing, and your divisions will be beautifully separated. When you have things like the Oathsworn and the Legionnaire, it'll drop those guys into your skirmisher division because they have throwing axes and a couple of javelins. I don't want that. Inevitably, we end up with wildlings in our 1st Division, which is going to be our infantry square consistently, and that's not optimal either. I don't want my wildlings in a square. They're just not that strong defensively. This is interesting, right? The nobles are basically telling Caladog to go fuck himself. He keeps asking for peace. Let's see what they do here. No, same thing. Urgion, I like this guy. We got a warmonger. Urgion, of course, for content, I want war. I'm not going to vote. I guess I would vote if it swings a really close election. You know, it's like they want 51% want peace. I'm going to nudge it to 48% want peace. You know, I think a lot more people would vote in the American political system too if they felt like their vote actually mattered. Guess what? The GOP, the Democrats, your vote don't matter. Doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter who the president is. Guess who's in charge of the United States? The corporation. You're not aware of that. Go read about Citizens United, the Supreme Court case. Basically, politicians are now controlled by corporations. We're in a nasty death spiral. Hold on tight. All right, so let's see. What next? What next? We're basically just looking for combat, right? We're a bully now. We have 680 troops, and we're looking for action. We're going into the bar and bumping into every single guy, saying "fuck you" and go fuck yourself too. Your girlfriend's ugly. If, you know, say something worse than that. We're basically just pugnacious fucks roaming Calradia right now, looking for something to slap around. This is actually on the big size for an army in vanilla. And what I mean by that is larger than we need, and I'll tell you why. The AI does calculations based on the size of your army, whether or not to attack you or to run, right? We've talked about that. It doesn't do a good job when it's engaged in siege. But if it's in the battle, if it's in the campaign map and comes up to us right now with 700 troops, I want them to attack us. So what that means... Okay, he hasn't started the siege. What that means is that we want enemy forces to engage us, so I might need to drop to 500 to be more efficient at killing here. And basically, the reason I'm saying that is that we can destroy any force less than twice our size, right? So 700, 800, unless we play badly or get stuck in a bad situation, there's really no army under 1,000 that's going to threaten us. So, you know, we're okay having a smaller army here. The only reason I'm keeping a larger army right now is because we may do a little siege. We may smash through Artesia real quick here. This is also a really good way to get attacked, right? Is to just make yourself vulnerable, go to a city, start sieging it, right? And then the next thing you know, you'll get enemy forces coming in. Now, I've got bait coming up here towards the north. Oh, damn it. The Aserai are getting all the kills. They're smashing a Western Empire force down there at that castle. And this is, I guess you could call it one of the problems or the benefit of getting really good at tactics in Bannerlord. The AI will attack you in situations where they cannot defeat you if you use tactics. Consistently cannot do it. And look how fascinating that is, right? An alliance. I thought they already had an alliance. They now have an official alliance between the Sturgeons and the Western Empire. So it really is a 2-on-2 war, right? It's the Sturgeons and the Western Empire against us and the Aserai. How cool is that? Continue to donate troops to this gal here. By the way, you can inspect their equipment. That is a new thing, and I think that's a great thing. I can actually change her equipment now. Before, when you would make one of your companions a party member, couldn't change their equipment. Look at this screen. This is great. All of a sudden, you can make her naked if she disobeys you or something like that, and just send her division in first. I love this, right? Being able to change all this. In fact, we got to get her a crossbow at some point because I want a crossbow captain in this campaign. Now, this Battanian force is excellent bait. Although for some reason the enemy's not taking it. Maybe they're gathering up more forces here. Gario 6-7. There's about 800 Western Empire right there. We want to fight battle. You guys are here for battle. Of course, we're going to continue to explore the changes with 1.3, but a lot of them happen organically, such as the Alliance, such as call to war, right? The Asurai telling us, we need your help. Attack the Western Empire for us. These things are going to happen organically. I have kind of decided I'm not going to mess with stealth. Again, I will continue to send you guys towards YouTubers who are doing stealth. A really good tutorial is, again, from Mr. Chicken Bannerlord. If stealth is your thing, I will happily recommend him. And again, no affiliation with him. He's never talked to me. I don't know the guy's name even, right? We've been like in the same chat rooms and stuff like that, but I'm doing that because I want you guys to have good sources, either to learn Bannerlord or just for enjoyment, right? He makes funny, great content, and he has a really good stealth tutorial. I don't think stealth is going to be my game in Bannerlord, and to me it's a little bit of an example of them trying to get to too broad of a spectrum with the game. I think it's a nice addition. It adds enrichment, but just like Bannerlord, being a jack of all trades kind of makes you mediocre. I wish they would focus more on the campaign map, diplomacy, battlefield, chaos, maybe assassinations, political intrigue and stuff like that, and a little bit less on, play the thief. And it seems like they're trying to make 9 games into one, or 1 game into 9. This is kind of another good example. There's some guy shouting at us here. Interesting. So I don't even have any consequences or decisions. This is literally, we're having a conversation with some merchant. So again, this is another situation I don't really care. Reputation, impulsive. These traits probably will mean something someday. Whether Tail Worlds makes them highly impactful or the modders make them highly impactful. But to me, they're kind of a nothing burger right now. My character can just go around being a merciless tyrant. And if you have enough tactics and troops to smash everything in sight, it doesn't matter. Now, Caladog is finally getting his due here. He's getting surrounded, just like the AI normally does. They've stubbed their toe in this siege defense, and they are being mauled. Sort of inevitable. So we'll probably head north again. I'm trying to stay down here in the south so that we get some alliance battles, but you got to go kind of where the action is, right? If the restaurant has a line out the door, you should probably eat there. And incidentally, my wife and I don't always agree with that. What the fuck? Alright, so this is new. I'm going to try to point out new shit. We're able to see over here, and this must be because of the alliance system. Somehow they're sending carrier pigeons. Can't see down in the lower parts of the Asurai, but I'm way too far away from them to be able to see the map there, and yet I can see it, I think, because we have this trade agreement, this alliance agreement. That's an interesting change. I'm not sure. I think there's already too much visible. You can see too far already in Bannerlord, right? I can instantly see exactly how many troops are at my citadel hundreds of miles away. But it's another new interesting change. I'm one of those guys that would probably make Bannerlord, like if I was king of Tail Worlds, I would probably make it so hard people were belligerent and rage quit. So maybe I should temper, my enthusiasm or my zealous nature of desiring it to be really hard. I would like there to be just options, right? For players like myself, and I'm sure a lot of you out there, I would love a fog of war where you got very little information about what you were facing in a battle, for example. Right now, you can literally, I can hold my little cursor over it and it says exactly how many infantrymen. I feel like Rainman, right? There's 600 or 462 chopsticks in the box, right? It's if you don't know the reference, that's Rain Man, an amazing movie with Tom Cruise when most of you weren't born. Go watch it. It's an amazing movie. very touching movie. But from the Bannerlord perspective, I think it's suboptimal. Now, I'm not running from these guys here. I want daylight. If you guys are like, what a coward. Nah, we're very happy to fight here. We're going to destroy this Western Empire force, but I want you guys to be able to see the destruction. You guys are here to watch, right? If it's too dark, you can't see very well, and you won't be able to observe the tactics. However, they have made changes for sure, and it's another very big area of improvement. Again, the old proverbial hard slap on the back for Tail Worlds. The visuals at night are a lot better. It still looks like night, but it's a lot easier to actually see what the hell's going on. I see these Reddit posts where guys share a picture of just a black screen and they're like, night battles, fun. And you feel like a blind guy stumbling around getting speared in the face. They're a lot better, and hopefully this battle... Yeah, see, so look at that. There's sort of a glowing moonlight over everything. It's clearly dark, but there's also shadows, right? That's got to be the moon. I don't think there's a big searchlight up in the sky. Now, this is theoretically a good battlefield for us, but it's also a terrible one for you guys to see. So I'm trying to take everything into account. I'll probably just... Sometimes when I can't figure out where to go, I just get down to the ground level and start the battle and then figure it out from there, right? We're going to have at least a few seconds to set up here, but I can't really see in here very well. I can't see the ridges or the hills. It looks good, but again, I want you guys to be able to see. So I think we'll run to a point and then we'll start to negotiate tactics from there. Get some of these captains reassigned. Some of these guys keep getting knocked out of their division for some reason. I don't really know why that's happening. Yeah, I don't know if that'll work anyways. It's a shallow ridge and there's not enough distance behind us to really get our units spread out. Evidently, we've got a horse archer. They're a long ways away. Let's move forward here and find a more visible area for you guys to watch the destruction of Gyarios and the Western Empire force. 400. I guess this is what that guy's saying. Damn, you're arrogant. Well, you know, we're showing bravado. We're showing confidence. I don't know. You guys are feel free to, I don't know. I mean, most guys aren't bold enough to say you're an arrogant prick. We're trying not to be an arrogant prick here. I'm trying to entertain you fellas, but maybe I do need to way tone down our confidence level. We're being arrogant over the AI. The AI is not good. All right, so let's bring cav divisions to both wings. And by all means, leave feedback, right? When that guy was just ripping me on Reddit, basically saying that my commentary sucks and YouTube channel's terrible and I'm an awful person. I receive negative feedback like most people. I don't like hearing it, but feedback is good as a content producer, and if you guys leave all positive feedback, just like a spouse in a relationship, I'm not likely to change. So by all means, if you see something that I need to improve, if you see something that bothers you, if you hate the sound of my raspy old man voice, speak up, right? Just be polite about it, and we'll try to make improvements. This 7th Division, I'm going to stretch at an angle there. I don't want them quite that close. On this side, we have the 1st and 3rd Division. They're going to play defense, and if the infantry does come over that ridge, they're going to have a nasty surprise, right? They're going to have flanking skirmishers protected by a line of cavalry in a square. And again, we can just instantly go to defense with these wildlings. The enemy leaves, we can start firing away and spread these skirmishers out. And no matter what, we're going to win the ranged battle, right? The AI sometimes will engage in a ranged battle in a situation like this, and it kind of seems like that's what they're trying to do. They can't defeat us in a ranged battle. We have Fiend Champions, we have Skirmishers, we have shields presented them in a nasty formation. They're just not going to be able to defeat this, and this is sort of a perfect example of the meta of Bannerlord. Once you win the ranged battle and you have tactics, it's game over. The enemy has no choice here but to attack us, and when they do, we'll be ready. What I mean by attack us, of course, is bring their forces to us. It's a very important distinction. We could attack them. We have tactics for that, of course. And we will demonstrate offensive tactics on the channel here. We'll have opportunities where there's less enemy forces or whatever, and they turtle up and play defense. But offensive forces are just complete piecemeal. And this is going to be gruesome for Gyarios. So a crossbow division here holding fire. You notice they all have their crossbow shields in front of them, and actually use them defensively to protect this other line in a shield wall. I'm using a crossbow division that has ammo defensively, right? We're doing that because the enemy's shooting at us. It's a nice mix. You want to have a nice mix of offense and defense. Here they come, right into the trap, so we'll scatter these crossbowmen, tell them to fire. Both of our wings get pushed out to the sides and back. The reason you're doing that, of course, is to essentially welcome them in, right? It's kind of like the sexual dance, only ours is a lot more hostile. It's not as receptive. It's not a warm, wonderful place we're welcoming these poor fucks. It's a destructive graveyard. I mean, they are being shellacked. The skirmishers are just waiting for the command to destroy everything in sight. Let's go ahead and initiate that. First division's over here. Now we have quite a few skirmishers, enough that both these divisions can effectively function now as skirmisher divisions. It's not truly maxed out yet by any means, right? When we have 100 wildlings, the game is going to be basically over. But right now, it's a little preview of what's to come. And that's a can of whoop-ass, right? We're going to just tear this force up. They're starting to hesitate. They don't know what to do. They might even be regrouping. This division I put there just to block the archers, that's amazing. They just ran right by them. And so it's still functioning. Those guys are sort of serving as a block to the enemy archers. Now the infantry is completely trapped, and we have cavalry behind it, ready to slam into it. Let's charge with this infantry division just to make it even worse. We'll hammer and anvil with these two cav lines from behind us. And the map just flushes green. Fucker, that's my friend. Being champs rushing up in melee. Part of the reason you do that, or at least I recommend you do that, is that, it's my opinion, you should do that, is that Fiend champions shooting, sometimes they're interrupted, sometimes they can't see their target. A really good way to concentrate your deadly forces is to have them pour up and charge in melee, because they join all of your other infantrymen. Was that her? She just got launched like a ragdoll. That was hilarious. She came roaring up, and the next thing you know, you just saw her body get distributed on the battlefield. And I think that's it. I think they just routed. But you add Fiend champs charging as shock troops when the enemy's right in the center of that maelstrom and most vulnerable, and that's your result, right? We had 60 losses and 10-to-1 kill ratio, and just blasted these Western Empire forces back to the Stone Age. Collect all the loot and a bunch of nobles, as I'm fond of saying. Come with us, you bunch of penis-headed Western Empire dipshits. And we're doing favor here, rescuing incompetent commanders, incompetent Battanian commanders that got captured. They like it. They'll let us marry their daughters. Now we're going to continue to pick up prisoners. I have a prisoner fetish, as you could tell. It's over the max. And that's with the extra troops here. We're going to have to distribute some troops here in our army. It's just a function of me desiring to want to recruit a bunch of these unique units that we can't really get where we are, right? Especially Sturgeon infantry. I want some Sturgeon infantry, especially the heavy veteran spearmen. I would love to have a few more legionary. We want to flesh out that first division, a really strong infantry division that can handle whatever. So let's do another one of these. Let's make our second party of this campaign. Vorard Bitterdrot. He's actually got a really nice leaders mix, right? This guy's very practically going to be our second player clan. The Bitter Draft. Is it Bitter Draft? Right? You guys would probably say Bitter Draft. I think that's how it is. The English language is brutal. You damn English people that gave me this ancestry and this horrific language. I think there are 7 words that end with O-U-G-H that are said differently. Rough, thorough, etc. You can research that if you want. I'm pretty sure I read that once. It's a very difficult language to understand. But then again, so are many languages out in the world. Japanese is very difficult. Spanish is very difficult. Mi esposo y yo hablamos español, pero muy difícil. Muy difícil. The personal A in Spanish gives us a brutal time. You gotta a libra. It's very, very difficult to learn. And then maybe, again, other people learn it easily, and I'm just a dipshit. Everybody's mind is different. I have a mathematical pattern recognizing, problem-solving mind, but I don't do some things well at all. Some people are emotional idiots and can land a rover on the Mars, right? Some people have that kind of intelligence. Now, again, just targets of opportunity. I see an insolent Western Empire force over here sieging. Let's go kill them. We're going to continue to pick up troops here from this Battanian alley. I've referenced this a few times. There's 4 villages within a half a day's march, maybe a day's march if you're slow like this, where you can pick up young fiends. It's really too easy. I don't even know if we've done any quests. We get a little autosave. We get some more apples here. These events are starting to become a little bit monotonous already, and I've only had the beta for, a week and a half. By the way, Tailworlds has asked for feedback in the developer. It's a Discord where there's maybe 20, 30, 40 content makers. We're sort of the liaisons on some level for you guys to Tailworlds. Of course, they go to the forums. They have the Steam forums, and I'm sure they have other routes they get feedback. But they've asked for feedback on the beta, and that is something that you guys are certainly able to contribute through me, right? If you guys have things suggestions, problems, bugs. This guy had a small army and it shrunk to nothing as all these minor clans just totally ditched this guy. He's stuck there. See, that's another situation. That guy should run, right? He should say, oh shit, our whole army just disbanded. I should leave this siege. He doesn't, but that's a kind of good example, I think, of the kind of feedback that I'm leaving. The AI continues to need improvements. That's the easiest, kindest way to say that. He should have left Dirt earlier, should have at least tried to get away. Even if they don't succeed, they should try. When they just sit there, it just feels like you're fighting a robot that has no intellect. So anyways, so that's the kind of thing you guys can leave chat feedback in the comments if you have major problems, suggestions, bugs, maybe that I haven't noticed. I can't promise every single comment I will forward to them. But especially comments that are either repetitive, in other words, multiple people are saying them, or there's a bunch of commentary around it and or likes and whatnot, all the typical things that grab our attention today. And in the huge amount of noise of the world today, you've got to sort of differentiate some sound. Now, I expected to see an army in here somewhere, and I don't see them anywhere. They just took this castle. I'm expecting them to come back and attack this Battanian. This Battanian army. We're basically using this army as bait. We will be the protective layer here. But I'm perplexed. I thought I would have seen them around here. The tracking system is still active, right? The scouting system. Here's probably where they went. There's 2. What do we got going on here? Okay, we've got... It's hard to tell sometimes. We have Aserai sieging Valandia. And this is an Aserai. Okay, so there they went. Valandians are down there, sieging that Aserai, sieging that Aserai castle. Let's go down there and smash some Valandians. 725, just waiting. Oh shit, never mind. We got them right here. Okay, so they did disappear. They did a little loop and came back for the bait. Let's smash them right here. I'm aware that some of these battles will get monotonous. We will not show all these battles in the future. What I'll probably do is this episode, maybe one more episode, we will do a battle frenzy like this. A lot of guys want to know, how do you fight with the ally? When you get an army to this stage, in other words, we have 70%, 80% of the units on the field, you ignore the allies, right? These dipshits here have no idea what they're doing. And man, it is beautiful, right? Just a incredible variable sky. The ground is wet, and so everything is sort of shiny and reflective. Has that beautiful look after a fresh rain. And it's going to be even more beautiful once we pulverize the enemy here. Now they're taking a defensive stance down there on the ridge. Although the numbers, maybe they're not being defensive. They're coming. They're shooting. You sons of bitches. I wonder if... So this is more suboptimal AI. For sure, they should be taking a defensive stance. If they charge the bridge, that'll be sort of tantamount to suicide here. We have our units already set up. We're the ones that are attacking them, right? They should definitely be playing defensive here, but it does look like they're just going to run into the gauntlet. So, I guess if they're going to suicide and it benefits us, we will comply. If you got a relative you can't stand... and they just write you off and are rude every single time to you, and they kill themselves and they're willing to give you some money, I guess you just take it and move on. That, by the way, is the best way to deal with salty people. It's just to acknowledge them, to be polite to them, and then move on. There's a lot of people who are unhappy in the world, And if you want an easier way to deal with people like that are really, it seems like they're trolling or they're just negative or whatever it is, usually there's a reason for that, right? Generally, people don't get birthed out of the womb like 2-year-olds as total assholes. And this is just a little bit of philosophy, let's do some, also known as philosophy, while we butcher this Valandian force. You guys don't need me to tell you every single step we're doing here. We're jamming up the bridge and chucking 1,000 javelins into these Valandians. In fact, I can level my bow skill here while I philosophize. But usually in my experience, and I'm a 50-year-old, when you run into people who are really salty, really cranky, asshole, whatever you want to call it, right? People that just are unpleasant to be around, my general response is to be sort of gentle, but firm but gentle. I basically, I don't take it personal, because in most cases, people who are like that for a reason, and it's not usually their fault. Now, I'm not saying that that just gives them license to do that. What I'm saying is be compassionate to the fact that they probably had terrible parents, or maybe something worse happened, like they were abused. There's all kinds of people in the world that experience things differently than us, and I was raised by loving parents in a pretty positive environment in a first world country with solid education, et cetera, right? I've been fortunate in life, and so I generally am not an asshole, but the people you'll run into in life, some of them are going to be assholes or negative or trolls or whatever like that, and I would say the majority of those people have a really good reason for it. Not an excuse, but there's a reason they're like that. And I guess what I would suggest, instead of like going at them, guns blazing with your fists out, is just sort of acknowledging them, take the high road and just sort of back away. Let them do their thing. You're not making it better, of course, by fighting back. And a lot of bullies, a lot of people that are sort of trolls, if they don't get a rise out of you, they just kind of go away, right? They're just like, damn it, didn't work. And I think you'll experience positive results. But maybe most of you don't want me to sit here, oh shit. Damn, even the foot troops are upgraded. I'll mention that in a second, but just tie off that point. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't want to hear me philosophize. You're just here for Bannerlord. You don't give a fuck. Maybe you get enough from your parents already. I'm going to do that from time to time, partly because this is hours upon hours. We are watching here a Bannerlord, and I could, leave broad swaths of silence, but I'm also heavily caffeinated, so that's doubtful to happen. Also, I do believe on some level it is the job of the older people, the more experienced people in our society, to try to help the less experienced, right? Whether that's your algebra teacher, your elementary teacher, or some old dude on Bannerlord who's made mistakes in his life and is hoping you don't have to make them in yours. You guys, of course, are always welcome to either disregard my advice or disagree with it or whatever, but I'm going to make it. We will try not to preach too much, right? Nobody likes to be preached to. We will try to approach everything from an angle of positivity, right? Spreading. Humanity basically has options about how we progress forward. We can, approach the rest of the world as an asshole. You can go through life as an asshole. You're free to do that. You can go through life as someone who likes to troll other people or fight with trolls and stuff like that. But generally, I think that leads to dark places. Right? You'll either become a salty asshole yourself, or other nasty things will happen, right? Maybe you'll shoot somebody in a road rage accident or something like that. I think it generally leads to bad places. And of course, most of the philosophical warrior societies oppose those notions, right? Whether it's the samurai, the troubadours, various different sects throughout medieval history, they saw aggression and anger and stuff like that, uncontrolled aggression, as weakness, as inability to control your temper, as inability to control your emotions, and I tend to agree. All right, well, we couldn't have these Valandians in a worse spot. They're now triple flanked. We've got archers in the center and skirmishers practically behind them here. I don't know what they're doing. They look like they're suiciding. They're charging our skirmishers. I think they're trying to spread out, but of course we had their route cut off. And there's not much left for them to do now except die and then rout. A lot of times the tactics we do on the battlefield seems to kind of break the AI. It doesn't really know what to do about it. which is, you know, that's what Frederick the Great and Napoleon and other commanders were always trying to do, whether it was General Mack or Napoleon mauled him and just totally surrounded the shit out of him and made him surrender. That was in the big war leading up to the Battle of Austerlitz. That's a big part of warfare, is confusing the shit out of your enemy, doing things that they either don't expect or don't understand even, right? Napoleon oftentimes, early in his career especially, the enemy wasn't really able to comprehend what he was doing because he was moving so quickly and so decisively. And it kind of looked like this, right? Where the enemy forces just ran for the hills as fast as they can and got smoked. Even the Battle of Austerlitz, right? The famous Battle of the Three Emperors really was a drubbing that most of Europe hadn't seen since probably Frederick the Great, right? For 60 years. Yeah, cut down a few more guys here. It's moments like this, of course, that I wish we were using the RTS mod, but like I said, it's been unstable. I can't run this campaign and film 40 minutes of content only to have it crash. And I also don't want to save and have the episode broken into all these pieces because I keep having it crash and then I reload a save game. And every once in a while I'll have to do that. And it's very messy for me as a content maker because it disrupts my stream, right? We're streaming along here. I've got a train of thought and all of a sudden it just derails and kills a small village. We've got to have that stability. And this is not a knock, by the way, to the RTS guys. It's amazing they already have a working RTS mod for this. I'm just not going to use it until it's more stable. It's not their fault. But we got a pitchfork here. Let's level up our polearm skill at the end of this battle. At least we'll do some, we can do some productive shit here. Since the enemy's not officially routing, the battle's not over, we might as well stick our pitchfork right into the groin of a few of these retreating peasants. Of course, we're not going to probably use a polearm in this campaign, but it never hurts to have a little extra skill, right? It helps your troops. And another serious thrashing here as our army marches around Calradia with our beatstick out. I mean, if this game Calradia right here was Columbine, we would have been the first one shot, right? We are definitively the bully of this high school. All right, continuing to pick up infantry. I'm picking up hardened crossbow and sharpshooters. I might even pick up a few more of the middle tier crossbow because we do want a crossbow division. There's a lot of guys, again, that think that just straight Fiend Champs is the best way to go. It does work, but there are scenarios where I actually think it's better. Let me just give you an example. I think there are scenarios where instead of 300 Fiend Champs, I think it'd be better to have 250 Fiend Champs and 80 crossbow. Okay. It doesn't say recording. I got the little green dot though, so something kicked off the recording device, but I still got you. So we're gonna load up here at this town, sell some prisoners. Money continues to be an issue. We only have 60,000. And that's something I could definitely talk about. You want to talk about profound impacts so far, things that I have noticed with 1.3, that's for sure one of the biggest. The early mid-stage, usually you go from being relatively fiscally austere to rich in like a year or a couple 3 years, especially if you're smithing or if you're a tactician. If you're just winning battles, especially in the mercenary stage where you're gaining money for every troop effectively that your army kills, you just get filthy rich between the loot, the ransoms, the influence, the pillaging, etc. Here, because we became a vassal so early, money is now an issue. We have 65,000 and we have a potential giant battle here. And good recording. This might be a perfect way to end this episode, is with a huge battle. I'm going to call a little bit more help here because we don't need to get captured with hubris. We're doing pretty well. We got a nice head of steam. We have a savage army, but that's 1,400 sturgeons sieging Uthalheim Castle here. So this is going to be a titanic battle, at least without, a mod-free titanic battle. 1,400. Actually, the number just went up. Almost 1,500 now. Pick up some troops here, but strap yourself in, right? This is going to be a battle. We're going to engage. It's going to take a second here for this army to get to us, and they may engage by then, which means we'll have a little bit of help from the garrison. Small help that is, though, right? A bunch of militia running around. A bunch of dipshits. Sturgeons. I'm trying to think of the battlefields that are. It probably will be the Golern Heights, but that's optimal, right? The Golern Heights are a battlefield with lots of hills, lots of sort of open, lack of trees. It's a very good battlefield for a tactician, and they have started the battle. So we got this coward to finally join us. We got another army here going to join us, and I think we'll engage here this afternoon. Well, I mean right now, but in the daylight of this afternoon. It's important that the lighting is good for you guys for huge battles. That way you guys can see what we're doing. That way you guys get a nice spectacle. Although, like I've mentioned before, the nighttime battles are markedly improved in Bannerlord. I used to cringe when I'd have a nighttime battle before. Having some real mouse problems here. Apologies if you see my mouse wigging out. Now, we're not actually huge underdogs here because the garrison did sally out. So let's see what this looks like. Okay, and we got some, assistance. Again, when you have 35 troops or whatever that is, ignore them, right? They're gonna do terrible things. Those guys look like they're just charging headlong against 400 units. It's another situation where the AI, it'd be really nice if they just kind of hitched themselves to your army. There's no reason, it's not realistic, right? Those 30 guys are just going to barrel right at hundreds of sturgeons, right? The heavy cavalry of the sturgeons is boring this way. And what do our allies do, right? I could try to make a defensive front on this slope, but I think we're better off peeling back. There's hills where we can get an angle on them. There's a flanking ridge on the other side here. We're going to be able to do effectively a peekaboo ridge here. And this battle is over, right? I hate to kill your suspense. If you want suspense on a regular basis, you want the epic Valandian campaign, right? With mods, we have turned normally easy battles into savage, brutal affairs. We'll pump it up a little bit at some point in this episode. We'll see how slow this battle is. Maybe we get into a ranged exchange here. Doesn't look like it, though. They're barreling in fast. Let's get this cavalry out of here. Set up on this ridge back here. So it's a pretty classic peekaboo ridge, right? You guys hear me talk about it all the time. Reverse slope decline. That edge right there is pretty sharp. And we have a nice little bowl here to position hundreds of troops ready to kill the enemy. We're going to make a bracketed V formation with our 2 skirmisher divisions. Cavalry here at the top, because I don't know if you see it, but the enemy has 83 cavalry on the other side of that ridge. I don't need them coming down and chucking javelins by the hundreds into our back. 6th Division is up high because they're the best, most damaging skirmishers. Our cavalry can just be at the front here. Shit, the enemy is racing in. All right, let's get this 1st Division pulled back and open fire. I think we'll dismount this cavalry and form them into a square. That's what I talked about before. I've mentioned this a few times in this campaign. I think this is one of the best ways to use Battanian cavalry. It's just to take them off their horses altogether. And some people are like, well, just have infantry then. No, there's advantages to having cavalry. If they're only infantry, you never have options. But if they're cavalry, I can dismount them like that. Their horses get in the way of the enemy. I can use them as cavalry. I can run down the enemy with them, etc. It's battle dependent. Let's pull this 6th up the hill here. We're getting surrounded by cavalry. But you can see what the enemy's doing. They're running into the gauntlet. The other division over there in a nice diagonal line is pelting them with javelins. They're attacking the square, which is what I want. But while they're doing that, they're being shredded by all these skirmishers and archers. We're dealing with cavalry up here. In fact, I just got drilled. Ouch. Fucker. 78 damage that did. Some guy hit me in the face, so maybe we'll get off this ridge here. That's exactly what I was worried about. Why I put cavalry there, but it didn't stop him. Slowed him down a little bit, though. I see the fucker up there with his javelin. All right, so the enemy's thinking twice about it. In fact, our square somehow survived. That's beautiful, right? The enemy got so pulverized, they couldn't kill 15 troops. They're now bypassing the square and charging in here, but we like that too, right? They're just under an assault. We can charge anytime we want, but I can also just close the wings in. Both the cav divisions can charge here, or infantry divisions can charge here. Cavalry's already charging. The only division that we have that's on foot, and the enemy gets shot to pieces. It's the Battanian blueprint for success. Shoot your enemy full of projectiles until they fall to the ground. Now we can reset here. Looks like they've got 400 or 500 troops left. They're pulling back. just being blasted off their horses. And some guys are like, oh, fiend spam, garbage. What a weak-ass strategy. On some level, sure. It's part of the reason I've been hesitant to do a Valandian campaign. If it means anything to you fellas, I'm trying to use a few less fiends than I would if the campaign was, say it was like I had to win as fast as I could for $1 million, we'd have more fiends, right? I'm actually mixing in more troops so that it's tactically interesting instead of just shooting them to next week. Let's go ahead and push forward here and see what the hell we're looking at. We've got beautiful lines here and cavalry on the side, 300. Let's charge these boys. I think they're right in the middle of regrouping here. Let's give them a fucking kidney punch here. See if they change their mind about reforming. You guys want to rout? Let's finish this battle. You guys don't need more of that, do you? I'm reminded of the scene from Snatch where the big bald guy fights Brad Pitt the first time in the pit fight, and he's beating Brad Pitt up, and the guy's like, you ought to stay down, boy. And Brad Pitt's like, the deal's not over till the fight's fought. Like nobody can understand him because he's got this parky, amazing drawl. The deal was you might like it out. What? Nobody brings a fellow the size of that unless he's trying to say something without talking to him, boy. It's a great movie and a great scene. But that's what I feel like right here. Yeah, better fuck off while you still got the legs to carry ya. These guys here are just absolutely fucked. I think they're routing. This does not look like reforming behavior. It's in between because they're turning and they're sort of pointing their weapons at us, but they really do look like they've had enough. They look like Buster Douglas or Mike Tyson after Buster Douglas got through with them. They look real bad here. I mean, they're just knocked all over the place. And you know, this army we have at this stage, it's not unbeatable, but it's approaching that level, right? The amazing thing is we're not maxed out yet. There's still guys that are becoming wildlings. I think we have 40-ish fiend champs. An army of 500-600, right? If you have 100 fiend champs, I think that's optimal. Maybe 60 crossbow. Of course, we did a whole series covering what I consider the perfect Bannerlord army, and we fought some hilarious battles, right? We had, what I tried to do is get it to about 400 troops. Of basically just the best units in Bannerlord, and it was strategic, right? It wasn't 400 fiend champs. In fact, the first episode illustrated how our army with tactics did better than 400 fiend champions, which is sort of the point I was making a second ago. I think you're better off with some crossbow. I think because of the shields, because of the versatility, and the fact that they're still dangerous, right? The fact that they can form squares for keep siege, squares for open field battles and slow down enemy cavalry. Are they charging us? No, I think they're just routing, and for whatever reason, they won't leave. Now they're like turning and fighting. These sons of bitches. In fact, they shot me off my horse. Well, hopefully the boys here extract a little vengeance. It's kind of curious. The sturgeons are still fighting. You can see the power bar. We have reinforcements that are still not on the screen, but oh well. Anyways, it was a fun series. The perfect Bannerlord army. If you're enjoying this kind of content, check that playlist out. We were doing stuff like 400 against 4,000, and I won't tell you whether or not we won. You'll just have to watch, right? Actually, I'll just tell you this: we won some battles like that, right? That little pump to it, so that more guys check it out, more guys come by the channel, more guys see the tactics, right? And of course, hopefully, it helps you with your own battle philosophy, because the bottom line is that you can definitely do 400 fiend champs, and it will be successful. You'll smash stuff, but I think you'll be more versatile. You'll win battles that you would not be able to win with 400 fiend champs with a terrifying mixed army, and I think more importantly, it'll be more fun, right? You have 400 fiend champs, your strategy is really limited to kiting in 3 or 4 different directions with your archers. When you have skirmishers, you can square a division, you can collapse on infantry, you can have them form double squares and do false gaps, you can do a ranged false gap, you can do a death funnel, you can do 50 different tactics that you can't do with fiend champions. And not to mention, like I said, I think you will have more fun. All right, so we're trying to get food. I've been trying for a long time to get food up to Varcheg, but I keep getting distracted by tasty morsels. There's 788 soon-to-die Western Empire forces here, and I'm looking down 55 minutes. I'm really starting to press the maximum I want to make these episodes. So I think we'll wrap it up after this, but I've got a Force of Western Empire here. The food part, right? What we're doing at this stage is we are prepping to become our own kingdom, and we are going to talk about that strategically and otherwise in this episode. We got more shit going on here. There's some lepers outside, frightening away customers from the town. We'll see. So this is other feedback I gave Tailworlds. For those wondering, I'll try to remember the 5 things that I focused on. They asked for what are 5 suggestions to improve the game, but also 5 major pain points or problem points to the game. And maybe next episode we'll get into that a little bit more. Again, I depend on you guys for feedback, right? I have my own feedback, of course, but it really is a democracy in this case. The more people mention this or that or this or that, the more likely it is that Tailworlds is going to change something. I guess on some levels it's like the American political system with the Discord, because there's 20, 30 content creators. You guys effectively vote through me. I'm sort of like the American version of an elector. If you don't know, if English people don't know, we basically, Americans, they vote for a president, and then the person who's in charge of their district is called an elector. That dude or gal then goes and places the vote, and they're actually allowed legally to vote for the other candidate, even if all their constituents vote for candidate A. They can actually vote for candidate B, which seems an awful lot like taxation without representation to me. But before the revolutionary police get all excited, I'm just giving you an example of kind of how it works, I think, here with Tailworlds. You guys give me feedback, and the more productive feedback we give them, especially if it's multiple content makers giving similar feedback, they will make changes. I think this beta 1.3 update is awesome, and I think it's a great sort of reminder that Tailworlds is very much a work, and these guys are working to make this game better. And it's already a good game, right? I think it's important to remember that. A lot of guys bemoan it could be better, it could be better. Yeah, that's definitely true. I could be a better husband. You could probably be a better friend, a better Bannerlord player. It's all about just making improvements. And I think we should applaud them for doing so. All right, what do we got here? We got Gyarios' pompous ass here. Let's start advancing our forces here. Let's make... These guys are just... We'll do the Joe Pesci impersonation. I like an occasional bad impersonation. These guys are just begging to be made an example of. The little casino. It's one of my favorite gangster movies. Joe Pesci is just completely unleashed the torrid gangster. So we're going to flank. We're going to do a little shield and javelin over here. I don't really have a name for it. Alexander would use tactics similar to this, and I've had some guys say, how come you're not using your cavalry to lead skirmishers? Well, let's go ahead and do it for you. I prefer shield and shock, which is shock troops behind them, because the javelin guys will kill by themselves. They don't need the cavalry. The shock troops really benefit from having cavalry in front of them. But we're playing Battania. We don't have very many shock troops in this campaign because, of course, we're veering our troop lines towards skirmishers. But let's push our front towards the enemy to hold them down. And then over here on the enemy's right flank, our left flank, we will push skirmishers up with archer support and then just shove this cavalry right through the enemy ranks and then dump javelins into their backside. It's going to be nasty. So they're confronting the front. Their archers are trying to spread out, and they're about to get... Oh, shit. They're about to get sprayed with javelins thrown by Olympic athletes. There's Gyarios right there. The motherfucker tried to spear me. Well, we've got a sword for your punk ass. Alright, so the cavalry get told to move forward. Shield wall will work, right? They're basically just shoving a path for our skirmishers. The other divisions can be told to move up and fire away. Now the cavalry is told basically to move past the enemy, diagonally towards their rear. That unnerves the enemy, but the bigger effect, of course, is it opens up all these forces to this spray of javelins, and the green death spam just fizzes uncontrollably to the bottom. Looks like a science experiment. On the other side, I'm not charging. That first division is told to stop and hold a shield wall. That way the enemy pounds on shields with no effect, because enemies in a shield wall not attacking are excellent at defense. It's not as good as a square, but look at the death spam. Nobody's dying, right? And of course they're dying from being shot and drilled in the side here. There's Gyarios right there. And down he goes. They're pretty weak. They could really improve the lords too. You know, they're really weak bitches. That's supposedly, you know, the emperor of the Western Empire, and he went down like a $5 hoe. It was bad. And so did the Western Empire force. I mean, we outnumbered them. This is never a battle we're going to lose, but you don't get a worse pulverizing than that. I mean, I guess we could have had no losses, but it's practically no losses. And that's a good battle to wrap up today. An ass whipping of the Western Empire Emperor. For those wondering what the difference is, check out our epic Valandian campaign. Again, I know it's a pump to the campaign, but we've given our lords, just to give you an example, with mods, 500% of the normal hit points, and we've boosted their stats so they have like 280 one-handed, 300 athleticism, in some cases even more than that. So your enemy lords in our epic Valandian campaign feel, you know, like boss music from Diablo or whatever. They feel like a menacing foe, whereas vanilla Bannerlord, I mean, he went down as weak as like a mounted brigand or something like that. It was a one hit, and he just dropped to the ground. It's too bad. All right, we are going to wrap this episode up. I think I have talked to you guys to death enough today. Of course, if you want to be talked to death some more, see some more from this Battanian campaign, now's your chance to subscribe. Leave that feedback, like I said. If you don't mind, hit that like button on the way out. And with all that said, friends, I will see you fellas next time.